Gemini, my 20 twins. Here's your reading, Gemini, for September 2020. Before we get into your spread here, we start, talking about what's coming through for you this month. I want to go ahead and relate to you some astrological transits and information that is hitting us as a collective. I feel like 5 this month are very important. And if you are a Gemini rising or a Gemini ascendant, when I speak of the houses here, and the areas that it may happen in your life or affect you in certain areas, this pertains specifically to you, but this does apply for all Geminis as well. Okay, Gemini, so on the 2nd, we are having a full moon in Pisces. So this is happening in your 10th house. So your house of career, your house of your public persona, your house of your outer world, the house that pertains to your public image, what you want to be known as within the world. Also, to Gemini, on the 9th, we are having Mars is going retrograde in Aries. And this is happening in your 11th house. So your 11th house of friends, your 11th house of your social groups, your social circles, how you integrate yourself back into the collective, your ideas in terms of how you, get along with other people and how you relate to the masses in a sense here. Also, to Gemini, on the 12th, Jupiter is going direct, and that is in Capricorn. That's happening in your 8th house. So your 8th house of taxes, your 8th house of esoteric information, esoteric knowledge, your 8th house of sharing, your 8th house of other people's money, possibly, your in-laws, the 8th house also of things that may need to come to the surface that need to be transmuted or transcended, that may need to be changed or worked on or solved through an esoteric or unconventional way of doing things, Also, to Gemini, on the 17th, we are having a new moon in Virgo, and this is happening in your 4th house. So your 4th house is your house of home, your house of security, your house of safety, your house of the mother. The 4th house can also represent your childhood in terms of where you felt safe, your inner security, your inner world. How the 10th house is your outer world, and then the 4th house is your inner world. And lastly, on the 29th, Gemini, Saturn's going direct in Capricorn, and that is happening in your 8th house as well. So, your 8th house of shared resources, your house, 8th house of sharing, your house of taxes, your house of having to deal with in-laws and things of that nature, and kind of, I want to say secrets, Gemini, but it's more of mysterious natures coming to the surface, needing to be transcended through unconventional ways, All right, Gemini, let's go ahead and hop into your reading here regarding tarot. So, Gemini, I'm feeling like this month, it's like there's a real sense of like losing hope, or you have lost like optimism, I want to say, this month. I'm getting like you feel like you can't alchemize, or you feel, Gemini, like something is a double-edged sword here, where it's like you feel, Gemini, that like you have obtained information that you have been wanting to obtain, and like changes kind of come and been implemented, right? But at the same time, it's kind of like you're not so thrilled about it, meaning it doesn't completely fulfill you. It's like a battle of one in a sense, that's where I'm calling it a double-edged sword this month for you. That's how you could be feeling. Gemini, you could be feeling too like, you're in between like dimensions, or in between worlds, where it's like maybe you're in between like your inner world and your outer world, your own needs and your own security and your own inner sanctity, right? And then maybe your partner or another person, place, or thing or circumstance that you're dealing with, you feel like you're out of touch with that part, but you, or vice versa, you can be not really in touch with your inner world and then in touch with, your outer world more. It's a very interesting spot that you're in this month, Gemini. I don't want to call it confusion, because it is clarity, but it's clarity that that went left in a sense, right? But not in, I feel, such a negative or in such a detrimental way. But it's kind of like, Gemini, the best way I can describe it is like, when we find out information about someone or something, and then we turn around and we're like, oh, I did not need to know that. Like, that kind of thing. That's how I feel this is going for you this month, Gemini, kind of. Because I could see, Gem, that Like you may have been stuck in the past, or you were like at a standstill in a sense, right? Where you maybe didn't know what to do, or Gemini, I'm feeling maybe you didn't know what to do within the circumstance or situation you're dealing with, right? Where the other person or the second party was like not on the bandwagon, right? Or they were on their own bandwagon that was interfering with both of your guys' bandwagon. Like you guys were both in the wagon, but you chose the better tire on one end, on one part, and then your partner or the other person, whoever's involved, chose the cheaper tire on the other end, and it's like you guys are rolling, and all of a sudden the cheaper tire just blows up and like smashes to smithereens, and then your tire is still on, and it's like, what are we gonna do now? Like, like that type of situation. That was an interesting analogy, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. Where it's almost Gemini, like you have to kind of take a step back and allow other people, places, and things involved, Gemini, to kind of play out their, I just heard play out their delusion. Okay. So play out what they feel was right within the situation, and clearly you knew and that it was misguided, it wasn't gonna work the way that they saw it, but you had to, in a sense, allow that to play out, Gemini. You have this moment where it's like, not that you wanted to prove a point per se, not in an arrogant way, however, you just wanted someone, for the betterment of all, to recognize the errors of their ways. And I can kind of see here, Jim, that when you took this step back, it was like, okay, it happened, all right, things transpired the way that you kind of thought that they were going to regarding that aspect of it. But walking into this month, Gemini, what's ahead of you, I kind of feel that when this person, place, or thing recognize and realize the errors of their ways, that's when then, Gemini, you kind of looked at the situation where it was like, okay, can I trust this person now? Is this person dependable, or this situation dependable? You kind of saw it from a different perspective in that sense, right? Where then that was like the double-edged sword, Gemini, where it's kind of like you were like, damn, like what do I do with this person, place, or thing now? Like, are they like part of the team, or do I kick them out of the wagon because they're not dependable and they are not equipped, let's say, or they're ill equipped with dealing with life in general, or just dealing with important aspects of your life, or certain aspects of the relationship, or the situation. So it's kind of like walking into this month, right? You understand them, they understand you. You understand the positions that you guys are in now. You have seen each other in through a fresh perspective. However, Gemini, once again, it's like going back to that idea of like the double-edged sword, where it's kind of like, okay, I understand the situation, but I'm not so very pleased with it. You know, After effects or latent realizations came in for you. Now, Gemini, I can understand how that feels. And when situations like this transpire, where we see the other person or the situation for what it really is, that's when then we're kind of like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to be involved with that. When these situations kind of happen, Gemini, we kind of have that feeling of like wanting to dismiss it, or wanting to, kick it out of the restaurant, in a sense here, right? We we grant ourselves an opportunity, Gemini. God grants us an opportunity. The universe, grants us an opportunity of, if we really still love that person or that thing or whatever it may be, there's still something there, of emotional resonance. And given that we know this new information that we did or we found out, it gives us the opportunity, Gemini, to go within ourselves and to really look at that, and to really say or ask ourselves, do I want to keep this person, place, or thing around, right? Not only that, Gemini, but then it also grants you the opportunity to build and exhibit compassion and understanding as well. And in the meantime, or at the same time, Gemini, it allows you as well to recognize your strength as well, and your weaknesses, to either uphold it if you can, it's within your means, or you're going to have to release it or them if it's out of your means. But at the same time, Gemini, not only do you give yourself compassion and understanding regarding, what's in your means and what's not, but you also grant the other person, place, or thing involved that as well. Where you're able to then celebrate each other's strengths and forgive each other's weaknesses, and if something is still there emotionally regarding, resonance coming from your end and as well theirs as well, if that is a mutual thing, then there's nothing that we, in a sense, can't work on together, you know, that grants us the opportunity to come together and to really have each other's backs, and to recognize that sometimes in life, emotional resonance and the bigger picture, Gemini, is more important than this small, fine details, you know? And also, too, Gemini, if you do see potential still within this relationship, partnership, friendship, whatever it may be, a situation, if you still see or feel the emotional potential there and the resonance there, that also grants you as well, Gemini, to understand where to go from here and where to move. It allows you, Gemini, to see things from an outsider's perspective, and it allows you to also look at the situation from and with a neutral standpoint, and to also understand and recognize that you know it's not about interesting, Gemini, it's not about what people, places, and things can offer you. It's about how it complements you, and vice versa, so it's learning a lot about compromise and learning a lot about complementary, and also learning, Gemini, your wants and your needs then within yourself end up strengthening because of this, and then you end up learning new aspects about yourself and as well as the other people, places, and things involved. And the most important part, Gemini, is throughout this process, you gain compassion. It's a new level of understanding of compassion and resonance and understanding and embodying Christ consciousness within your being, doing things the Christ way, in the sense of Christ consciousness, in terms of the godly way of doing things, in terms of love and from a higher perspective, with understanding and due diligence when it is within your means and when it is appropriate for you and doesn't compromise you nor compromise the other individual or other people involved within this situation, you know. And Gemini, don't feel like anything was wasted or time was wasted, because it really wasn't, Gemini. There's no such thing as time wasted. Time is a third dimensional construct. Time is something that we've made up. It's time is not a part of universal law nor natural law, in a sense, um, so there's no reason for us to feel bound to it or tied to it, even though I understand we're here on Earth and it is what it is, But at the same time, Gemini, it's understanding things from a different perspective and understanding and developing compassion and patience and understanding and recognizing the difference between compassion and wisdom as well, where it's like, where you can make the decision to not be someone or your own doormat, in a sense, due to um uh, an overwhelming feeling or overwhelming need to give compassion and show compassion, like to a fault, in a sense, where then you use your wisdom in order to obtain as well, like self-preservation, and to also recognize too, Gemini, in closing here, that unconditional love, Gemini, is not always about sticking with that person or sticking with that situation and riding it to the wheels fall off and just do the thick and do the bad, and even when the bad overrides, outnumbers the good, and just sticking with that person, place, or thing till the end, and where it's more destructive, in a sense, not only as individuals but as a partnership or together, and you guys both have compromised each other, and then it leads to confusion and all of that. Unconditional love is not sticking to the end through destruction. Unconditional love, Gemini, is knowing when to let go. Because when we let go, Gemini, the other people, places, and things may not understand it at that time, but that's the most highest form of unconditional love. Because then we remove ourselves from the situation that no longer serves you and the other person involved. And in hindsight, in a sense, or in the future, that person, place, or thing would then look back at the situation and then say, you know what, that was the right thing to do. And especially, Gemini, when we know what the right thing is to do and we can feel it in our spirit, and we're getting downloads from God and getting downloads from our higher self, and we understand what's going on spiritually, it's that much more needed, and we hold ourselves that much more of a higher standard to do what is spiritually best and what's spiritually sovereign, to not only preserve yourself but the other people, places, and things involved as well. so everyone has a positive outcome, you know, as best as it can be. All right, Gemini. Before I let you go here and we close out here, let me go ahead and pop out a card. It's gonna represent a message from your higher self. Okay, Gemini. I'm using the deck Divine Doors. Okay, let's see what pops out for you here. All right, Father God, let's get a card for a message from Gemini's higher self here. What does Gemini's higher self have to say here? It's a message of wisdom. Gemini's higher self. Okay. One popped out and one flipped over. We're gonna take both of them. All right, Gemini. Usually people got one, every other sign, but let's see here. Okay, so the first one is forgive and forget. A ritual cleansing of pain and lies, arise and awaken. See a new sunrise. And the second one is birth, Gemini. Another gateway appears in view. New life is unfolding with blessings to you. Very interesting, Gemini. I don't really want to comment on them too much or put my perspective on them. They're a message from your higher self. All right, Gemini, that completes your reading here for September 2020. Any other information that you may need can be found in the description box regarding services and regarding, things of that nature. But other than that, Gemini, hopefully we'll see you again next month. And as always, God bless, Gemini, and love and light.